for people who try to join.
What do you mean it's gonna make it hard? What can I do?
Because if they join on Discord, then they won't hear us on StreamYard, and it will be a mess.
I mean, they can join us. No one joins us on Discord. Usually, people join us on StreamYard. They join us uh from the web.
All right, that's weird, but give it to me, I guess.
Okay, let me find it. Um, StreamYard. Copy und paste. Okay, it's in the side chat. And click the link with ZK at the end.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let me paste it here. Let me test the audio. We never tested the audio. Paste it here. Let me test the audio. We never tested the audio. Okay. Racist Israeli football thugs.
The Western media and Western politicians are lying to you. Well, police are shons, you might think, but this is a very specific case study, and it is deeply illustrative and deeply alarming. Yesterday, racist Israeli...
Wait, you have your webcam on. You have to turn it off. Turn off your webcam. Okay.
Oh, they can see it if you open that. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I want to know if I want to show the audience something, if I can turn my camera on.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to.
All right, I'll prompt you for it.
Okay, but be careful.
Well, I already stream with my camera on. I have my own channel and my own Twitch. I just don't do it that often because of the moving.
Okay.
I know what to do. Men get very obsessed with me, so I know how to act online.
Amazing.
It's not fun. There's not really a benefit to it.
Anyway, let's go see what's up. What are? Wait, did we? Yeah, okay. Oh, 60 symbols doing physics. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Particle physics, the Higgs, okay. The periodic table. Wait, did she lose her eye?
Who?
Suni Williams. Something happened to her. She used to be an astronaut. I don't know. Jew hunting.
Maybe she got diabetes because she didn't believe in Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Most likely. Where's all the drama that I saw before? Reaction to Hamas pogrom.
Hold on one sec. I think someone came over.
It's official, he's a man. Wait, maybe it was here? No, this. How will Trump affect? SpaceX and Starlink. Integral of 1 over x minus square root of x. Integration with substitutions. Let's see that.
Hi everyone, in this video we are going to work out this indefinite integral. We have the indefinite integral of 1 all over x minus the square root of x, and then here we have the dx we're integrating with respect to x. So let's go ahead and work this out. Solution.
I mean, you basically have to guess. I don't know.
You have to guess what?
The solution to an integral.
We're going to start this problem by doing a substitution. We're going to try to let u.
Okay, u equal x minus delta x, maybe?
Be equal to the square root of x. And then you notice that if we square both sides of this, we get u squared equals x. Now we can differentiate both sides. So on the left-hand side, we'll get 2u du. And on the right-hand side, we just get dx. Here we just use the power rule. We brought the 2 down, and we subtracted 1 from the x bottom. And now you see that we're pretty much ready to make the substitution, right? We know that our dx is going to be 2u du. And we know that u squared.
Wait, he squared it and then took the derivative.
Baby, we're going. Sorry, my dog's getting agitated. I'm getting her ready to take out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Squared is equal to x. So our integral
I'm
becomes.
gonna take you with me though. I'm just gonna put my headphones on. I think it's still a nice day out.
So the integral becomes 1 over x minus, I don't know, would you say square root of x is now u?
The square root of a flexnard.
And the x is 2u du, no?
My ex is Italian. Yep. Your straw sounds like space.
Square root of x dx is equal to.
Oh, he just rewrote it, but now he's going to replace it. So it's 1 over
Come
u
on, bro.
squared.
Come on.
This is u squared minus u times 2u du. Wow. But how does that help you? How does that help you? 1 over u squared minus u 2u du.
And now making substitution, this is the integral of. So we round over. So x is u squared. That's going to be our u squared minus the square root of x, which is equal to u. And then dx is simply 2u du. So just like that. And now you can see that we can factor out a u from the denominator. So this will be equal to 2u, u parentheses u minus.
Oh, you can take out a u from the denominator. Okay. So it's going to cancel out with the u. So you end up with u times u minus 1.
Minus 1 du. It's canceled. So this is equal to 2 times the integral, pulling out that 2.
I was trying
u
to
minus 1 du.
for my hair, and that was really complete this look. I look like very sophisticated right now. But I have a bad hair day. Oh, it's not terrible, but like I want to cover my hair still.
Mm.
Mm.
Here, we can just do it in our heads. It's up to you how you do it.
Where baby
This
go?
is
Oh my god. That's the priority. Like, let's take the dog out and let's leave the dog.
Mm-hmm. So 2 times the integral of 1 over u minus 1.
Can you hear me? I just tried to attach my Bluetooth.
Okay.
Oh wait, it's not on yet.
So basically the integral of 1 over u.
Okay, I should be on now. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
So
fuck,
this
I'm
is
not working. Hold on.
okay. This is just a natural logarithm. This is ln u du. No, it's just the natural log of something.
Getting so crazy. Honey, come on. She wants to like play now because I haven't paid attention to her, so now she won't calm down. Oh my god, she's so staticky from like running.
another one. So we're gonna
Baby!
let W.
She's
equal
like a
minus 1. I know we can do this in
Pokemon.
the video, so let's do it. So dw is equal to du. So this is equal to
Oh my god, another substitution. W is u
Oh,
minus 1.
are you getting like your order for your groceries or something?
Who, me?
Yeah, like what do you mean substitution?
No, he's solving an integral
Oh,
in mathematics,
I don't like those. Those are complicated.
W is u minus 1. This is W, and then dw is just du. Amazing. So it's just this is W. So this is 1 over W dw. So
that's going to be equal to 2 1 over W dw, right? Because u.
It's really nice out.
awesome. So this is just a natural log. So it's 2 ln W. And now we can plug in W and then U.
U minus 1 is equal to W, and then dw is equal to du. At this point, we're ready to go. So this will be equal to 2 natural log absolute value W plus C. That's a formula. And 1 over W is equal to, you integrate that, you get the natural log of the absolute value.
2 ln. What is this? Absolute value of W? What? What? What did he say?
Be equal to 2 natural log absolute value W plus C. That's a formula.
Why? Why is it the absolute value? Why absolute value?
1 over W is equal to, you integrate that, you get the natural log of the absolute value of W. And W is U minus 1, so this is 2 natural log absolute value U minus 1 plus C. And then at the very end, this is equal to 2 natural log. So U was square root of X, right? So before. So this will be equal to square root of X plus 1 plus C. So the final answer is 2 times the natural log of the absolute value of the square root of X minus 1 plus C of negative 1. So that's the answer. Hopefully you learned some mathematics. Make sure to check out my courses. They're on Udemy. Use my links in the description of this video or mathsorcerer.com. As always, keep doing mathematics.
Mm-hmm. I need more ice next time. Next time I make a protein shake, I'll need more ice.
Mm-hmm. I haven't had one of those in a long time, and I miss them.
Oh, it's the most delicious thing in the world.
I honestly wish I had that more than I have like the coffee maker now, because I don't really use my coffee maker. I just make instant coffee.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear this.
Some breaking news that we wanted to bring to you this hour. This just coming from the Department of Justice right now on that plan, that Iranian plan, a murder for hire plan targeting Donald Trump. We are getting some new information in from the Justice Department as is just unsealed a criminal charge today in a thwarted Iranian plot to kill President-elect Donald Trump before this week's presidential election. A criminal complaint filed in federal court in Manhattan alleges that an unnamed official in Iran's Parliamentary Revolutionary Guard instructed a contact this past September to put together a plan to surveil and ultimately kill Donald Trump. If the man identified as Farhad Shakiri was unable to create a plan by then, the complaint said the official told him Iran would pause his plan until after the presidential election because the official believed Trump would lose and it would be easier to assassinate him then, the complaint said. Shakiri told the FBI he didn't plan to propose a plan to murder Trump within the 7 days the official had requested, according to the complaint. The plot with the charges unsealed just days after Trump's defeat of Democrat Kamala Harris reflects what federal officials have described as ongoing efforts by Iran to target U.S. government officials, including Trump, on U.S. soil here. So this is a breaking news alert that we just wanted to bring to you on Live Now from Fox. Obviously, Donald Trump is the center of assassination plots.
If this is not an act of war, then what is an act of war? How is this not an act of war? Who's that?
Unfortunately, we saw it play out this past summer with two, and that was domestically, but now there is also international concerns for his life as well. We know Iran is trying to ultimately kill now President-elect Donald Trump and looking for ways to do it. And in this complaint, talking about they thought he was going to lose the 2024 election and thought, okay, it's going to be much easier to assassinate him then when he doesn't have maybe all of the protection surrounding him. Well, things have changed. He won, of course, on early Wednesday morning being declared the winner. And now, as you can imagine, security will be so ever tight around President-elect Donald Trump. But this news just coming in and really unsealed by the Department of Justice. Again, I just want to reiterate that this criminal complaint filed in federal court in Manhattan alleges that an unnamed official in Iran's Parliamentary Revolutionary Guard instructed a contact this past September to put together a plan to surveil and ultimately kill Donald Trump. So this was after the two assassination attempts domestically. And you're talking.
What?
That's creepy. Did you hear what I said, though? I asked you if you could turn it down.
I can't. It's on maximum.
No, I mean, like, turn the speed down.
Oh.
There, thank you.
Talking about after the RNC, so September, they wanted to try to put a hit on the former president at the time, now president-elect once again here. So
he's so handsome. What's the deal with him?
Well, he's a news anchor. They pick attractive people.
No, Trump.
Trump? Oh, well, I don't know. Well, he's a New York famous guy, well, obviously.
Did he ever have plastic surgery?
I don't think so. Although everybody has, so I wouldn't be very surprised. He probably gets a lot of treatments, a lot of spa treatments and such.
Well, he's barely.
I'm sure Melania has had some. Melania has had some good stuff because she looks natural. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's had good.
Melania is literally the hottest chick on the planet.
Yeah.
Next to you.
Oh, I like dressing like her. Like, I have on a coat with like a wrap with a tie, so I feel like I'm her. Like, you know what I mean? I wear that and I wear my sunglasses. I go out with my pelt and act like
they were trying to do
it. I feel like I'm her.
In a 7-day window. If it wasn't completed in that 7-day window, they were going to hold off until after the election because they thought he was going to lose then. So
why did they want to assassinate him if he's going to lose? I don't get it. What's the point?
Now, of course, so much security and
so it appears that the Jews ran to the police station, but the police station wouldn't open the doors.
That is creepy.
In Amsterdam. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, in Amsterdam, it kind of makes sense. That seems strategic.
Really, detail has to be put in on every measure for Donald Trump's movement, really from here until.
Oh, not when you go down there. Nope. Not down there. Not down there.
This chick, she made a video. Anyone can learn quantum mechanics. So I listened to her video, and I know quantum mechanics pretty much. and I have no idea what she was talking about. No one can learn quantum mechanics. Forget it.
Yeah. No, I gave up.
Let's see what else. Impulse. The crisis.
Dude, it's so pretty out.
Awesome.
It's a really good day out, yeah. This morning was cold, but it's so nice right now.
Where's all the drama that we saw before? Like on my phone. Oh, there it is. There is the drama. Oh my god,
He is appalling.
I need to make popcorn for this. This has to come with popcorn. 32 minutes of drama. Oh my god, this is so delicious.
Hey everyone, so most of you saw my video last week on Sabina Hassenfelder. The response was mixed, but its detractors clearly missed the point of the video. So
Tell me if it's too fast because he speaks really slow. My brain is dying if I listen to it in like a normal speed. Wait, if I play in 2x you cannot understand it?
No, that's too fast. Just turn it down to like 1.5.
Okay, 1.5. Like if I could play it at 3, I would, but 1.
Because you're used to it.
Yeah.
we now have to clarify some things. Let's get into it. Now, I'm used to science deniers watching little to none of a particular video only to yell at me in the comment section, but I've never seen this behavior from so many academics. It really is appalling. Every single person who acted as though the theme of my video was academia is perfect, prompting them to launch into novella-length rants about all the problems they've encountered in academia, needs to go and take a long look in the mirror. Let me give you the brief version of what you all missed. This. Thumbnails that say, I don't trust scientists. That's the problem with Sabina. Incredibly unprofessional, damaging clickbait thumbnails like this. And statements like this.
Most of academic research that your taxes pay for is almost certainly bullshit.
That's a ridiculous and totally indefensible statement that fuels science denial. What's that? Oh, Dave chopped out a bunch of super important context? No, I didn't. This is what I played in my video that so many of you didn't watch.
But I knew it was bullshit, just as most of the work in that area is currently bullshit, and just as most of academic research that your taxes pay for is almost certainly bullshit.
Most of the work in a particular area, followed by an additional statement about academic research in general. She is talking about all...
Wait, Amber, is this the most delicious popcorn you've had in your life or what?
Why? What is it?
It's Professor Dave Explains beefing with Sabine Hossenfelder about how does academia suck or does academia not suck?
Oh, I thought you were asking me about a specific brand of popcorn, like for real.
No, I'm talking about the drama between Professor Dave Explains and Sabine Hossenfelder.
No, because I do like popcorn. Like honestly, like
Yeah,
I get like Buddha pop.
I know.
I get like Cia pop.
I know. I wish I had popcorn right now. This is the perfect time to eat popcorn.
All academic research, including all the fields which aren't.
Like, I don't understand. Like, people ask me, do you watch Netflix? Do you go see movies? Do you read books? I tell them, no, I just watch YouTube. What else do you need besides YouTube? Wait, you need to mute your mic because the wind is blowing into your mic and it's killing me. It's killing everyone.
It's in my pocket.
Oh, don't worry about it. Okay.
Physics that she knows absolutely nothing about. So no, she is not exclusive.
Wait, what?
Area, followed by an additional statement about academic research in general. She is talking about all academic research, including all the fields which aren't physics that she knows absolutely nothing about.
No, that's going to be difficult to listen to.
I'm going in. Don't worry. It's fine.
Oh,
I'm on my way back. Yeah, oh my god.
So no, she is not exclusively talking about theoretical physics. She can
Honey, no. Leave people alone.
insist that's what she meant in retrospect, but it's not what she said. She's lying. So I'm sorry, there is nothing for science deniers to misinterpret. All of the hundreds of you who complained about how it's not her fault if science deniers twist her words in zany ways, you can kindly eat your own words. They are twisting nothing. She tells science deniers exactly what they want to hear, which is why they've begun watching her videos in huge numbers, which is why she continues catering to them. That's the problem with Sabina as of late, and that's what I was talking about in the video you didn't watch. Because so many people felt compelled to rant exclusively about academia, we're going to talk about academia in a moment. As I said very little about it in my previous video, but it seems that I have to summarize an entire video in the first 2 minutes, or most people won't even hear it. So allow me to do that up top this time. The issue...
Sorry, I'll be done in a second.
Yeah, every time you make noise, I just stop
Sorry.
it.
Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry. It's okay. Sorry.
Is not that Sabina brings up valid criticisms of academia, and if you don't like it, then too bad for you. The issue is that she deliberately distorts these narratives to provide outrageous takes, disparaging the entire scientific community and the entire output of science. That is what I was describing when I said anti-establishment narratives. It doesn't mean anyone who challenges any institution in any way. It means people who say things like science is dying and don't trust scientists, which pushes the general public towards blanket science denial. People with an anti-establishment bias are very easy to manipulate because any fraud can just say government bad or university bad, followed by any ridiculous lie they want, and people prone to this narrative will believe them. When Sabina uses this rhetoric, she is pushing people in that direction and making them more receptive to lies and conspiracy theories. This is how you get people who reject literally all science-based medicine in favor of snake oil and charlatans. It's how you get anti-vaxxers that exacerbate a pandemic despite the mountain of science demonstrating the safety and efficacy of vaccines. It's how you get hurricane victims open firing on FEMA workers who they believe helped manufacture the hurricanes. Generally speaking, in
Oh my god.
America, only 54% of the public believes climate change is a problem. Yet people who reject the efficacy of vaccines, there is a growing population who believe virus.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Amber, what's going on?
Oh, now I'm in the freezer. I'm just like getting food. Sorry.
Are
I gotta
not
make
real.
something.
This is the
like no
audience
one's
that
been
largely
like including me for like dinner and shit, so I need like food. I haven't eaten food in like days.
consumes this content.
I'm
from
like
Sabina.
not even
She
that
is
hungry, but like I don't know. A walk and like talking to people kind of made me feel a little better, and weed. But like I just don't have an appetite because that made me like depressed. You know, like, it just like sucked.
throwing fuel on the fire that is consuming their ability to accept basic logic, professional expertise, and scientific consensus. This is how we get politicians voted into office with fascist leanings. This is how the slide down the slippery slope towards theocracy gains momentum. This is how we get people trying to force religion into public schools and into federal laws. With Trump returning to office, he may follow through with his promise to put RFK in charge of the Department of Health. RFK, an anti-vaxxer who has said that chemicals in the environment can turn kids
like
gay
that
and
guy.
trans, and that HIV does not cause.
I really wanted him to be president. Like if he wasn't, if Trump wasn't president, that's what I would have voted for. Like,
no, he's a Looney Tune.
I like him.
I mean, he's
I also really love Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I don't know anything about her.
She's awesome.
Really?
Yeah, we'll have to look at her next.
Isn't she the one that said that that they're manufacturing the hurricanes?
She's awesome, dude. Like I love that she said that. She's kick ass.
Oh, wait, do you believe that they manufactured the hurricanes?
I know for a fact that they can. That's the thing. It's like I don't know if they did or not, but I know for a fact that they can. So I think it's bullshit of people to think that she's like crazy for even because like we've known about like weather control for a long time. So to act like she's like retarded or crazy is like really annoying.
Oh my god. You think they can create a hurricane? How exactly?
They can. I'll show you later. Like there's an actual like document on it. I'll show you. But yeah, they can, and they've been able to since like the 2010s.
Awesome.
And they just keep making that more sophisticated. So yeah, obviously now it wouldn't be too out of this world to suggest that maybe some of these natural disasters were manufactured by military, because if we can do it, other people can do it. So it's like there's a whole slew of people who would do it. So then, you know what I mean? Like, nothing's ever one-dimensional. I'm making tater tots with my like vegan fish taco thing.
Plus, you're making a lot of noise, which is always a good thing.
That's what I am here for. That's how people like. That's why I explain what I'm doing. This keeps like people like engaged in the thing.
I know.
They're like, "Oh, what is Amber doing?" You know, it's not just about you. If I wasn't here, people wouldn't watch.
I know.
See, our one fan mentioned me, not anyone else.
listening to me? This is the battleground we face in society at the moment. This is the culture war that is shaping the future, certainly for America, but also in other nations where populism and fascism is rearing its ugly head, one of which is Germany, by the way. As a global society, we are sliding towards idiocracy, and our survival as a species is at stake. Sabina feeds people narratives that are conducive to those modes of thought, and in doing so, she is pushing them further down the pseudoscience pipeline, where they are more likely to be ensnared by actual demagogues and charlatans. And it's not because they're too uneducated to hear the nuance. It's because there is no nuance. Her choice of language is exactly what these people want to hear. They hear, don't trust scientists, because she literally says that. And they react to it by baselessly rejecting anything any scientist says, just like they were told to do. If you're an academic and you can't understand that, then you need to check your privilege and open your eyes a little bit. You may have the education that allows you to ignore this polarizing rhetoric from Sabina so that you are able to fixate on the kernel of legitimacy to some criticism she's leveling. That's great for you, but you are not the general public, and YouTube is not an academic journal, the venue where such criticisms ought to and do regularly take place. That Sabina is trying to use this other medium to launch criticism isn't inherently the problem, it's her choice of language. She doesn't make videos called My Qualms with the State of Particle Physics. She says, science is dying. She doesn't say, my issues with the distribution of grant money. She says, I don't trust scientists. Again, this is just like James Tour shouting, we are clueless about the origin of life.
What?
I said, why would she? I don't.
Well, that's what he's complaining about. He is like,
there's a lot of reasons not to. Like, I watched the whole thing about like how scientific studies are like pawned off on people, like just so they can get like a bunch of studies in, so then they can do some other shit. And it's like, you know what? Fuck that. Like, I'm sick of everything that matters being like about numbers instead of being about what's actually true or about what's actually like real. Like, fuck this. Like, why would I disagree with people who don't trust that? If a system is about quantity instead of quality, why would you have faith in it?
All over the internet instead of publishing his criticisms in reputable journals, because he doesn't have any legitimate criticisms. He's just a charlatan with a script of lies. For Sabina to be doing relatively similar things on YouTube is unprofessional and problematic, and she does them for money. I can't spell it out any clearer for you. I don't know if any of the people who left these tone-deaf comments will watch this video, since they didn't make it through much of the first one, but it is in these comments that we see so clearly how they missed the point. Here's the top comment everyone was drooling over, and this guy says that these people, the conspiracy theorists, are largely irrelevant. They can't influence the course of science, just ignore them. It is astounding how wrong this person is. It's not about academia, it's about society as a whole. These people vote. They bring people into office who enact legislation that steers nations towards fascism and theocracy. This is not about academia, it's about populism and culture wars. Despite what anyone may claim, it is specifically the duty of the science communicator to help the public understand science and the scientific community in such a way that they are immunized against this influence. They should not be themselves contributing poisonous rhetoric that fuels science denial among the public. I can't possibly have been more clear about this in my other video. When you plant a seed of anti-establishment bias in a person, it will inevitably rear its ugly head in the form of rejecting scientific consensus on any other matter imaginable.
Okay. That was a good taste. Let's see if this is 3 hours ago. Well, I don't think she had enough time to reply yet. But she did.
They radiate. So the problem has been solved again. I saw that several of you had critical comments on my recent video about the black hole information loss problem.
Oh, it's nothing to do with that. It's about a video about a black hole. Let me see the video with the black hole. Where is that? Why doesn't she link to the video with the black hole? Let's go to her channel. This one.
Hung up on the question of what do black holes destroy information. This was supposedly a huge mystery that physicists wanted to solve to understand the universe with big implications and so on. Also, popular science writers wanted you to think. And then the big mystery just fizzled away. Whatever happened? Let's have a look. The biggest problem with black hole information loss is that it's not about information. So please don't get hung up on the question of what information means. It's totally irrelevant. The issue is that Stephen Hawking found out that black holes can be caused by emitting radiation, which is now called irrelevant. The issue is that Stephen Hawking found out. So please don't get hung up on the question of what information means. It's totally irrelevant. The issue is that Stephen Hawking found out that black holes.
Stephen Hawking.
radiation, which is now called the Hawking radiation. According to his calculation, this evaporation process is irreversible, which means that you can't tell from the final state of the decayed black hole, which is just a bunch of radiation, what formed the black hole or what fell in later. To put this differently, there are many initial states that lead to the same final state in black hole evaporation. What physicists mean by information in this context is just all the details that describe the initial state which get lost. It's not what we usually mean by information. Really, it had better be called a black hole irreversibility problem. It's a problem because the irreversibility is incompatible with quantum physics. In quantum physics, everything besides the measurement should be reversible. Yes, that means if you burn a book, that is a reversible process in principle, unless you actually want to look at the book. In principle, if you knew all the details about the particles in the smoke and ashes and so on, you could calculate what was in the book. Of course, you can't do it in practice, but this is theoretical physics. The issue is that if a black hole evaporates, the irreversibility happens before the measurement, and that creates a mathematical inconsistency. It's the sort of stuff that keeps theoretical physicists up at night. The reason this happens is not the horizon of the black hole. The irreversibility happens because Hawking radiation is made of particle pairs that are entangled across the horizon. One of the pair falls into the singularity. It's gone and doesn't come back out. End of story. This is what causes the irreversibility, and it's what ultimately destroys the information. By the way, this video comes with a quiz that lets you check how much you understood. But wait, I hear you say, there isn't really a singularity inside a black hole, is there? Well, no one knows for sure, because despite what they say, it's not like we send our grad students out to check out. But yes, physicists widely believe that the singularity inside black holes just means that the mathematics breaks down. We'd need a theory for the quantum properties of space and time, a theory of quantum gravity, to accurately describe what happens near the black hole singularity, and we don't have such a theory. So it's always been obvious what's wrong with Hawking's calculation. It doesn't take into account quantum gravity. It's also a process that we can't experimentally test, because the Hawking radiation of the black holes that we have found is far too weak to be measurable. In the absence of both theory and data, physicists made up lots of stories about what might happen in black hole evaporation. Maybe black holes don't entirely evaporate but leave behind remnants. Maybe information can't ever fall in. Maybe it bounces back at the singularity. Maybe it comes out with the radiation after all. Maybe it sits at the horizon. Maybe black holes aren't real, and so on. And then popular science writers created this big mystery around it. Now, in the past couple of years, there have been some papers claiming that if you take into account as much as we know about quantum gravity, which isn't much, but at least something, then it looks like there is actually information in the Hawking radiation after all. The authors of this work claim that this is enough to get all the information out, so there never was any problem to begin with. I think they should have called their paper Much Ado About Nothing. I'm somewhat skeptical that this will turn out to be mathematically correct, because it'd mean that no information at all hits the singularity, and I don't see how this can be. But the truth is that I don't really care, because we'll never find out what the right answer is in any case. And even if we did, it wouldn't matter, because it won't be useful for anything. Really, the reason I'm telling you about this is that I used to think this was interesting, because solving this problem was supposed to teach us something. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that there's nothing to be learned here about nature, even in the best case. It's not even philosophically interesting. It's just a bunch of theoretical physicists fighting about whose maths is the prettiest in a contest that'll never be decided by data. So what's the point? Well, points are singular, so one could say that the entire point of quantum gravity is to be pointless. Did you know the joke about the two guys running from a bear? Do you really think you'll outrun the bear? Says one of them. And the other one says, I don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun you. That's how I think about internet safety. I don't have to...
Very nice. Okay, so let's see what she said today.
I saw that several of you had critical comments on my recent video about the black hole information loss problem. I seem to have caused myself an information loss problem. But since I still have the microphone here, I thought I might as well make use of that. So grab a coffee and let's pretend we're not procrastinating. Here is one of the comments. The only criticism I have is the "it won't be useful for anything" comment. The amount of seemingly useless facts that end up being the source for useful ideas is incredible. Fair enough. Before I reply to this, let me briefly summarize what I said in the video, because it might be so I said that resolving the black
Oh my god.
hole information
Oh, my
paradox
oven's preheated, yeah.
What?
My oven finally preheated. I hate how
You-
long this one takes. Like, this oven, like, first of all, my burners don't get very hot on my stove. And then it feels like my oven takes forever. So, it's frustrating.
No, I'm just.
And the brand is Whirlpool, so I'm never gonna, like, when I get my own house, I'm never gonna buy Whirlpool, because, like, I just don't like this. And my dad worked for Maytag, so I would always buy Maytag, because my Maytag shit lasted literally. My grandmother lost her stove this year, and she's had it my entire life. And I'm 30 years old, so I'm always gonna buy Maytag.
Awesome. But do you have to make so much noise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm like done now, but like I'm crumpling up all the garbage. That's what's taking all the noise, making all the noise, I guess. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't ask for things to come in packaging. If I had things packaged the way I wanted, I would have had maybe one plastic bag and one folded up piece of paper, but they have to put everything in a million bags.
It's not a hypothetical statement. The paradox has
And
been
also,
resolved multiple
someone
times
used
already.
my tongs, didn't wash them, and now I don't know where my tongs are. So now I
And it
have to make
hasn't
noise to look for my tongs. So that's their fault, not my fault. You need to call the police and tell them that.
does anything about nature. The video
The FBI, you mean?
No, I want you to call 911. There's nothing more serious than this. Like, they're not doing anything. They're just sitting on their ass letting this happen.
there was a brief update about a recent publication which said that black holes leak information as they radiate. So the problem has been solved again, this time by two guys who I've known for decades. Hey, Xavier, Steve, in case you're listening, great work. I've talked about this topic in longer videos several times before, and here's the issue, the lack of nuance.
This one reminds me of Sigourney Weaver, like, narrating, like, the aquarium in Dory. Finding Dory.
What?
Yeah, like,
What?
in Finding Dory, like, the second Finding Nemo, there's, like, some, like, scene where Sigourney Weaver is, like, narrating the aquarium, and it's literally like this.
I never saw these movies.
Story. The full story goes like this. The black hole informational problem is a mathematical inconsistency. You take Einstein's theory of general relativity, that's not a quantum theory, and
How do
combine
you
it with
date
the
younger
quantum physics of
chicks if you don't watch these movies?
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we usually don't talk about movies.
Yeah, but what like do you guys talk about? Because like I talk about like old people stuff with you because I used to like take care of old people, so like you were just lucky.
I'm lucky that you've taken care of old people, so you're able to communicate with me. Oh my god.
Yeah, if anything
Wow.
has happened between like the 1959 and like the 80s, like at least I can like understand it. But like you keep bringing up stuff I've never heard before. Like I played a song that was like so weirdly old, and I was like, this is so like Mr. Slave-esque, like in my head, and it wasn't because it was old or because you're old. It was just like weird, like you know what I mean. It was like this is such a strange like bygone era that no one knew existed, and I feel like you would know exactly what this is. It's like one of those weird songs you would hum that I never have heard of before.
Yeah, there's many old, very old songs that are just amazing. Do you know this song Downtown?
Yeah, obviously, I like that one.
That's an amazing song. That's like basically a miracle. It's so beautiful.
Called semi-classical gravity. That's what Stephen Hawking did in his calculation. It does not contain quantum gravity because that would mean that gravity itself has quantum properties, not just the particles. I know that's linguistically confusing, but not everything with quantum and gravity is quantum gravity, just like not everything with U and tube is U-tube. Hawking's calculation doesn't use quantum gravity because we don't have that theory.
Not everything with U and tube is U-tube. See that?
But not everything what's called semi-classical relativity. That's not a quantum theory, and combine it with the problem is a mathematical inconsistency. You take Einstein's theory of general relativity, that's not a quantum theory, and combine it with the quantum physics of particles. This gives you what's called semi-classical gravity. That's what Stephen Hawking did in his calculation. It does not contain quantum gravity because that would mean that gravity itself has quantum properties, not just the particles. I know that's linguistically confusing, but not everything with quantum and gravity is quantum gravity, just like not everything with U and tube is U-tube. Hawking's calculation doesn't use quantum gravity because we don't have that theory, and even for a theoretical physicist, it's difficult to calculate with equations that we don't have. So Hawking used this semi-classical approach. If you do that, you find that black holes give off radiation and lose mass until they're entirely gone. But that process is irreversible and therefore incompatible with quantum physics, and that's the inconsistency. You start with an assumption, that's quantum physics, add another, that's general relativity, and the result disagrees with the assumption you started from. Resolving inconsistencies in natural laws is the best way to make progress in theory development, and this is why this problem has attracted so much attention. However, there are always many ways to resolve inconsistencies. To see this, you only need to know that if you have any set of assumptions that has an internal inconsistency, you can just throw out assumptions until the inconsistency vanishes. There are many ways to do that, and physicists have tried all of them. Think of it this way. You're getting married, and you have to assign people 2 seats, but Annie can't sit next to Uncle Bob. The Jacobson family should get too close to the drinks. You can't put a single woman on a table with only men, and so on. After thinking about this for 6 weeks, you formally prove that there exists no seating order that will fulfill all requirements. So you take people off the guest list until the problem's solved. There are many ways to do this, and maybe now you think that getting married wasn't such a great idea after all. And that's basically how physicists deal with inconsistencies. They take assumptions for their calculations off the guest list. The most obvious unwelcome guest for black hole radiation is the idea that semi-classical gravity is sufficient to calculate what happens. I think this has always been obvious. It's just that since we don't have a theory of quantum gravity to deal with the calculation, there wasn't anything to be.
Anyway, so the solution is very simple to the whole thing. The whole Hawking radiation. I mean, you could say that a black hole radiates, but it radiates less and less. It asymptotically radiates nothing. At infinity, it stops radiating, but it forever radiates. Did you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
Can you repeat what I just said?
You said even though it doesn't like seem like it's radiating, it still does. You just can't quantify it.
Almost. So I'm saying that, right? They're saying that if so, Hawking realized that
It's
black
like you
holes.
can't measure the radiation because you're not next to it, basically, I think is what they're trying to say. But they're like trying to measure the effects by what's like around it, but they can't really observe it because they're observing it through satellite.
I'll tell you what I think. So Hawking
Okay.
realized that black holes radiate, and he says they radiate themselves away until they poof disappear.
They like implode, I thought it was what happened.
No,
No?
they evaporate.
They evaporate? Oh, weird.
It takes them trillions to the trillions years, but slowly they evaporate, which creates a paradox because all the information that fell into them is gone, which is a violation of quantum mechanics. It's a violation of a mechanical universe. If you're As I was saying, if you assume a mechanical universe, which is crazy because it shows you that physicists are obsessed with a mechanical universe. So on one hand, apparently this universe is mechanical. On the other hand, it's not. Like when you talk to people, no, it's not a mechanical universe. It's a, it's. What do they say? It's entangled and then superposition. It's the most unmechanical universe on one hand, but then when you discuss black holes and information lost, oh no, it's a mechanical universe. It must be reversible. It must be reversible. That's how mechanical it is. Anyway, long story short, so Hawking said it's radiating, therefore it's radiating itself away. But you are intent on me having to lose my mind, I guarantee.
No,
you.
I'm making stuff with green onion.
Oh, well, in that case, that's fine. Anyway,
Thank
so
you.
Hawking said it radiates, and he did the math, and the conclusion is it radiates itself away. Poof, it vanishes, which means it's irreversible. The information is lost, which is a violation of quantum mechanics with the stress on the word. What's the next word I want to say? Stress on the word out of quantum mechanics. Why is a black hole disappearing a violation of quantum mechanics? Is it a violation of quantum or mechanics? What's your answer?
Mechanics.
Good. Correct.
Woo!
So apparently physicists, they demand that this universe is mechanical. Guess who else said this universe must be mechanical and got ridiculed for it?
Einstein?
No!
Hawking?
No!
My dad?
I don't know. Who else? Who usually gets ridiculed?
You?
Yeah. Everyone is ridiculing me that I demand that this universe be mechanical. I demand for
Wow.
the universe to make sense, and they say no, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. Wait, what? But it's mechanical? Yeah, but there's no contradiction between the universe being mechanical and making sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
I mean, no, I'm just making my mayonnaise.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so uh, I'm so confused. I'm so thoroughly confused. I'm confused about people that I talk to. It's like they say to you, 1 + 1 is 2, and 1 + 1 is not 2. And that's not a contradiction. And that is a contradiction. And that's not a contradiction. And there's nothing you can do about that. That's basically talking to people. Remind me
Hopefully.
not to
Oh man.
Be said about it. This is where the problems of academia come in. If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you can't publish papers about it. So what happened is that physicists found reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem. I'm not saying that they did this deliberately. It's just what's aptly been dubbed the natural selection of bad science. Topics that produce papers have an advantage, so they attract research interest. It's the same thing that happened with string theory and inflation. These ideas lend themselves to writing papers, and so they produce results, and that generates funding, which pays for people to write more papers and so on. Some of the solutions for the black hole information.
This is genius. The natural selection of bad science. Jesus Christ.
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Reasons for why the semi-classical approximation, there wasn't anything to be said about it. This is where the problem inconsistencies. They take assumptions for their calculations off the guest list. The most obvious unwelcome guest for black hole radiation is the idea that semi-classical gravity is sufficient to calculate what happens. I think this has always been obvious. It's just that since we don't have a theory of quantum gravity to deal with the calculation, there wasn't.
And my ether is a quantum gravity theory, but shut up, Siri. I'm sorry, Siri. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I should stop telling her to shut up. That's not a nice thing
Yeah,
to
that's
say.
not cool.
Yeah.
Anything to be said about it. This is where the problems of academia come in. If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you can't publish papers about it. So what happened is that physicists found reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem. I'm not saying that they did this deliberately. It's just what's aptly been dubbed the natural selection of bad science. Topics that produce papers have an advantage, so they attract research interest. It's the same thing that happened with string theory and inflation. These ideas lend themselves to writing papers, and so they produce results, and that generates funding, which pays for people to write more papers and so on. Some of the solutions for the black hole.
So but I don't think that's how natural selection works. In natural selection, you need there has to be. Okay, I'm not sure I understand the natural selection of bad science. Her theory of natural selection of bad science. She says basically according to her, bad science is selected for. Bad like when does natural selection take place? Natural selection can only take place when there is pressure, when there is ecological pressure, when there is a demographic pressure. That's why parents always overproduce offspring. Did you know? Right, a man. Oh my God, a man can produce, I don't know, 1,000,000,000,000 sperms, but how many of those will actually turn into humans? Do you know?
Like 10.
On average.
3 or 4.
Actually, mathematically, it's about 2.
Oh God. Yeah, that's not what you would expect. What the hell?
Right. And the same goes for a tree. A tree produces, like an apple tree produces 1,000,000 apples during its lifetime, each one with 10 seeds. How many of all those apples will become apple trees
Oh, maybe like 10.
on average?
That is the average.
No, I'm asking you, on average.
10 or like 4 or like
Actually, it's exactly 1.
wow,
Because
wow,
because if it's more than 1, right, every tree, not even that, because trees live basically forever. So it's basically 0. because
wow.
because if the population, right, if every tree created 1 offspring and kept on living, now you have 2 trees. But now the child is going to create a child, and now you have 3 trees, and that child is going to create another child. As long as they don't die, and trees basically don't die, so the planet will end up with an infinite number of apple trees. And since there is no infinite number of apple trees, that means the population never grows. So on average, none of the apples ever become apple trees.
Wow.
The point is that everyone overproduces children. What's the
Because
advantage
they're all
of
retarded.
yeah, but what's the advantage of overproducing children?
Because none of them do anything. So if you overproduce, you have a higher chance that some of them aren't retarded. That's what I'm saying.
Right. But
Or
so
because they used to die, I guess.
but there's one great advantage, and that is demographic pressure creates competition, and then you have selection. Right? Evolution by natural selection cannot take place without selection. How do you have selection? If there's just a few children and they all have food, there's no selection. So they could end up, as you said, being retarded and they'll still survive. But if you overproduce the children, then there is competition, and then they kill each other, and then only the strongest survive. And then you have evolution. Evolution can only take place if you overproduce children. That's why there's so many sperms.
Oh,
That's why there's so many apples. Everyone is trying to overproduce in order to create a demographic pressure, in order to create a demographic catastrophe, in order to create a population decline, in order to create a population collapse. Because a population collapse, that's when Darwinism kicks into high gear. That's when you get, that's when humans rise out of the apes, out of the ashes of the apes. Bet you didn't know that.
damn.
Actually, even Darwin doesn't stress it in his book. It's like he never got it. Like when you read Darwin, he never got it. He never actually understood the importance of overproducing offsprings. So you're smarter than Darwin when it comes to Darwinism.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't think anyone noticed it. I don't think anyone noticed that it's critical to understand that a critical feature of Darwinism is the overproduction of offsprings. I don't think anyone ever discussed it. I never heard it from anyone. Let's check ChatGPT. What does ChatGPT think about my theory? Um, Do is the overproduction of offsprings critical for Darwinism? Question mark K. How do you spell offsprings?
O
Off,
F F S P R N G S. It's just like the
S,
two words.
off. I think is it one off or two offs?
It's just one off.
Oh, okay, one off. No, offsprings. Is it one word or two words?
It's one word.
Offsprings. What am I missing? Offspring. Oh, there's no plural.
Whoa, that's huh.
No, that's wrong. Brave autocorrect is wrong. Forget it. Okay, let's go. Let's see the answer. Yes, the overproduction of offspring. Oh, it, offspring. There's no plural. The overproduction of offspring is a key element in Darwinian evolution by natural selection. Charles Darwin observed that most species produced far more offspring. There is no plural. Than can survive to adulthood. This tendency is critical for a few reasons: competition, variation, inheritance, genetic, without. But where did he say this? Okay. Where did he say this? Darwin discussed the concept of overproduction of offspring as part of his theory of natural selection and foundation work. In his foundational work on the origin of species, 1859, while he didn't use the exact term overproduction of offspring, he clearly describes this principle in the chapter titled Struggle for Existence. Here, Darwin explains that all species have the potential to reproduce at rates that far exceed the really? What's the quote? There is no exception. Okay, here's a quote. There's no exception to the rule that every organic being naturally increases at so
Even fish.
high a rate that if not destroyed, the earth would soon be covered by the progeny of a single pair. Yep, that's pretty much it. Owing to this struggle for life, any variation, however slight, and from whatever cause proceeding, if it be in any degree profitable to an individual of any species in its infinitely complex relations to other what kind of who taught them English? Did they even know English? It's one long sentence. Doesn't he know not to write run-ons? Again, owing to this struggle for life, any variation, however slight, and from whatever cause proceeding, if it be in any degree profitable to an individual of any species in its infinitely complex relations to other organic beings and to external nature. I already lost you. This is the third line. Will tend to the preservation of that individual and will generally be inherited by its offspring. How is this? How is this about the overproduction of children? ChatGPT's even ChatGPT can't understand this. It's 4 lines. It's a single run-on. 4 lines of a single run-on. Unacceptable, Mr. Darwin, Mr. Darwinism. Do you believe in Darwinism? Do
I
you believe
believe
in?
in like feminism.
That's good. Anyway, so A.L. Trucker says it's not wrong. Offspring is plural or singular. Oh,
My dog is looking at me really sad because I'm like eating food she can't eat.
yeah, it works both ways. Okay. Why are you surprised that the evolution theory is better now than it was over 150 years ago's? Uh, but I'm saying that I've never heard anyone discuss the overproduction of children. how would this lack of punctuation affect the work he did? It's not a lack of punctuation, it's a run on. I can't follow it. A go needs no plural. Oh, I didn't say a go needs plural. Needs no plural. Anyway,
She's leaving comments. I'm so confused.
he's the AL trucker. He's a friend. He's a friend
Oh,
of mine.
okay. Cool.
Like,
Burp.
oh, it's okay.
Ah, that was
You
good. That was
read it
really good.
goes. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Uh,
it's fine. I had vegan fish and I made tater tots, but I didn't eat the tater tots yet because I'm full. But
oh,
now I have food for later.
okay.
Oh, so nice. I'm gonna
AL
fart.
trucker says you're gonna fart.
Yeah.
That's good. So,
Just
AL trucker says
wow.
that
Ow.
he says that I read it a goes instead of a go. So L Trucker, basically I'm supposed to be sleeping right now and I'm trying to stay up. I'm trying to not fall asleep because I need to fix my schedule. So uh, I'm surprised that I'm functioning.
I'm kissing the best puppy ever.
What the fuck is a vegan fish?
It's made of jackfruit and um it's really
And
good.
lemon beans. It's made out of
Lemon
lemon
beans.
beans. A run-on sentence is one which should be split into more smaller one. Yeah, so the way I write, if you notice my papers are excruciatingly readable because I have very short sentences. Like I always have subject, verb, adjective, noun, whatever. Like that's it. I don't have run-ons. I stay away from those things. So it's a jackfruit. There you go. What the fuck? Uh, uh. Anywho, we may continue.
Information loss problem have been, for example, that black holes leave behind remnants, or that black holes never really form, or that they create wormholes, or that the information comes.
Okay, so let's try to think about. My papers are just excruciating.
Don't be excused.
There is a fish called the northern pike, which is called a jackfish in some stream.
It
There
might
he is.
actually be made of palm heart. I'm not positive. Oh gosh.
Oh. Mhm.
I laid down and she's looking at my face. Oh no.
So the question is, I'm trying to think about her theory of evolution, natural selection of bad science. So how could there be selection for bad science? She says that there is a selective advantage to bad science. How could you get a selective bias to bad science? I'm trying to think. Like someone needs to select bad science. How? Like what's the mechanism? I don't think she gave a mechanism for the natural selection of bad science. What do you think? Do you think there is a natural selection of bad science?
No, I think that bad science is promoted. So if anything, there's like a lot of unnatural selection for bad science.
Anyway, there was a paper from the Royal Society Open Science, The Natural Selection of Bad Science by Smaldino and McElreath. We can read it. So poor research, design, and data analysis encourage false positive. Such poor methods persist despite perennial calls. Improvements suggesting that they result from something. Poor research design and data analysis encourage false positive. Ale Trucker, it would be where there is an impetus to have a group of people selecting science based on bad filtering techniques. So I don't know, but I mean, there is a paper, so we're looking. Oh, what? You would have to do some meta analysis on many papers and find some experts who can help filter out ones they have backed previously. I can't think, but what I'm reading in the background, I'm not gonna go look it up, but something about poor research design and data analysis encourage false positive. So you can begin to think that like bad science creates false positives. Like you wanna pretend that you got a positive result because people love positive results. No one wants to know that you didn't discover anything, obviously. But because they don't, it's a enormous undertaking crossing thousands of subcategories of scientific research and discovery. No results. Oh, science for it, yeah, but no one likes null results. So the paper, look, if you're gonna write a paper, right? No one reads about no one publishes a paper that they wanted to prove something and they failed. We set out to prove something and we failed. No one is going to write a paper like that. That's a failed paper. No one is going to publish it. No one wants to look dumb. And that creates a bias. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. She doesn't explain why there is. I mean, we would need to actually look into this paper, The Natural Selection of Bad Science. The claim that there is a natural selection of bad science, if that were true, then how does science still exist? According to this theory, science should progressively get worse and worse. So I don't think it can be true. So the whole theory, the theory violates the data. The data is that science. What are you saying? Science is getting worse and worse?
I think that that's accurate.
I mean, I should be the first one to complain about the state of science. I am the first one to complain,
Yeah, you
but
are.
I'm not.
No, I said you are.
But I'm not. I always claim that I agree with everything mainstream. I agree with big physics. I just disagree on the details, but I agree with big physics. So, I mean, you listen to Sean Carroll, you even listen to Sabine Hossenfelder, you listen to Dave Explains, you listen to everyone. I don't know. I mean, fine. They're making many mistakes. Okay, so many people may make many mistakes about many things, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to fix everything. But they're not listening to me. Hmm. They're not listening. Wait, Ale Trucker, you're writing a lot. Every time I read a comment that you write, it puts my brain to sleep because I'm like very tired. Wait. Ale Trucker, 1 second. L Trucker, wait 1 second. Listen. I'm trying to think this through. Wait. Okay, hold on. Let me think this through. So, from my point of view, right? Everyone can analyze this from their point of view. Obviously, right? Obviously, everyone has an opinion. Is science good or is science bad or whatever? So, or is science getting good, getting bad, whatever. So, in my opinion, I would say science is okay-ish, but obviously, if I if I had to come onto the scene, that means I was unhappy, right? I was at home working on my stuff, and then I said, "All right, enough is enough. I gotta go fix physics because physics is obviously going off the deep end. It's going off the rails. I'll go fix physics." So obviously, I felt something is wrong with physics. But does that mean physics is getting worse? Or does it just mean physics is not going where I think it can go? But I'm like
It
Superman.
means that the quality of the research is getting worse, and that the politics of it have made it harder for people to do their own. Like, it's big physics. That's what I keep telling you.
But when we talk about Darwinism, we're talking about
My
a
dog is so
trend.
sweet. Oh my
The
god.
question is science getting better or is science getting worse? That's the question. It might be getting better, but not fast enough for me that I had to step in and fix it. So I might feel that it's not getting better fast enough. Or maybe science is fine and the rate of progress is a constant, but I want to improve it. Maybe I am science. Maybe I am science. Anyway, Al Trucker, you're writing so much. I'm not going to be able to read it because it's draining me. I can't read so much. Okay,
It's
identifying that.
what makes it like read the comments out loud? That would be really convenient.
No.
No, that'd be
I,
great because then people could spam us like abuse and stuff.
I wish. I don't think there's a built-in feature for that.
I want abuse.
Identifying that there is no ether, for instance, has led us towards the conclusion that relativity is correct. Oh my God, Al Trucker, why would you say something like that? It's oh my God, why would you say that? Oh my God. No, I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna respond to that. That's how wrong it is. It isn't dumb ruling out something that could be a factor is I don't know what that means. It could be plausible, but generally people should be repeating what has been. I don't know what that means. You do not. But once you get a couple of physics degrees, you'll get to refute it. I don't know why you say that. What do you base that on? You are ill equipped. I don't know why I don't know why you say that. I don't know why you say that. I don't know what you mean, but I appreciate your interest. Okay, then I'm not ill-equipped. I told you I'm excruciating, definitely. Yet the universe hasn't stopped universing all on its own. It really depends on your definition of what is better. Okay. Oh, L Trucker. Oh, yeah. Okay, come here. How long have you been waiting here?
I don't know, like a minute. I've just been waiting for you to read the comments.
Oh, I just noticed that you're
It's
here.
alright. I just thought if it's excruciating to read all of my comments, then I'd just come and speak.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
so much better,
We'll see what
honestly. I was
happens.
gonna
Yeah.
offer that second
Well,
thought.
I knew
I
it was
figured
in
there
there.
must be a reason that you were just texting. Otherwise, I would have said, "Why doesn't he just join?" Because like
It's
that's just too obvious. Like you
because
know.
I'm trying to do work on my fellowship project, but it's fine.
It's alright.
I can do it this way too, right?
Yeah.
I can't
So
read them for him because I'm busy. So
okay, I understand. Yeah, I just I wasn't gonna say anything until I heard Mr. Slave talking about what the heck was it you said that really bugged me.
Oh.
Oh, I wanted to I really just piped in about the fact that offspring does not need a plural. Offspring exists. Offspring exists in both. It doesn't matter how many offspring there are. It's just doesn't have a plural.
yeah, no.
That's all. That's
Once
what
he
I
said
really
that,
wanted
I
to
felt
say.
stupid.
The English language is full. Do you speak English as a first language, Mr. Slave, or do you speak a different language first?
I don't know. I don't know. I cannot disclose that information.
You can't disclose that information because, like, I know, for instance, that people I talk to that speak Romance languages, if my second language is French, and so I know that they have certain things that they expect to be the case. For instance, like they talk about turning, they talk about opening and closing lights rather than turning them off and on. For instance,
So do
right?
Jews.
And so
Jews?
No,
well,
that's what my husband says to me all the time is open the light. But he'll say open like the this oven or open the stove, and that will confuse me because I'll actually open up the oven. And he means to turn it on.
yeah, because you open, and it's backwards, especially if you use electrics, because
Mhm.
when you close a circuit, that's when you turn it on, and when you open a circuit, that's when you turn it off. And so
Oh.
I've had these conversations with people, but it's the way language is used in other languages. So in the Romance languages, which are different from like the like English and Germanic root languages, have a different way of saying things, and their grammatical structure is different.
Okay. Wait. So, but I'm not so. It's not so critical that.
It really isn't, because life has evolved despite the fact that people use languages differently in different places, even though
Yeah.
they may want to convey the same meaning.
Wait, but so I don't. The question is it true that there is natural selection of bad science?
That is an interesting question, because I don't believe so, but that doesn't mean others don't believe so. And I know that you're looking at Sabine, who is, I think, a pretty good science communicator, but some of the things she says are infuriating to some people, and it depends on the topic. And she has said things that are wrong, or just badly researched, that are out of what she talks about. And so to say that science as a whole is automatically in a state where it's selecting bad science for publication doesn't necessarily hold water, but it could be true.
So, my opinion is there can never be natural selection of bad anything. Like, if you think about it, can you have natural selection of bad dogs, of bad cats, of
Oh.
bad.
Well, it would be an
My
engineered
dog looked up when you said
selection.
that. That was so strange. She looked like, "Oh, you guys mad at me?"
Yeah, what were you saying, Al Trucker?
Well, no, sorry, and I'm sorry. What's the the other person in the chat? I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Hamburger and fries.
Hamburger and fries. Okay, nice to meet you, Hamburger. See, to call it a natural selection is a little. It's a little off. It's a little off of what we would expect, and the reason why I say that is because when we talk about natural selection in terms of living creatures and their evolution, the natural selection has to do with the fact that some animals adapt really well to their environment, or the environment changes and they have an adaptation to it. And so they have more offspring because they're more successful. And so the ones with those traits pass those traits along because they are successful in that environment. And as long as things work for them in that environment, the nature is selecting for them. Like that's
Wait.
kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
And so
Wait.
so what if we
wait,
naturally select for bad science? That means we're teaching scientists that bad science is the thing that they're after.
Wait.
And then they naturally are going to promote,
Wait.
find it, and do it.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. So can you have natural selection of bad cats?
Yes, but
How?
But you'd have
How?
to take a cat that's bad today in today's society.
What's a bad cat?
Let's just say for the sake of argument, it's a cat that likes fish rather than chicken.
No.
Because cats are domesticated house pets that we breed for our own purposes, or have collected with other breeds that have been bred for these purposes, and they do it naturally out in the city.
Wait, hold on. So a cat, the way I see it, a cat is perfect. It's maybe the most beautiful creature in the universe.
Okay.
It's a perfectly streamlined predator machine that's also designed to be super cute, super funny, and it's clean and it's quiet, and it's perfect. So I'm trying to imagine, can you have selection for bad cats? Like how could you have that? Like, give me an example of how could that happen? Like, because the cat right now is perfect.
Okay, so you've decided on your own that a cat is perfect, right? Which is fine. You're allowed to have that opinion. And the thing is, though, what I'm saying is that if we take human genetic engineering, even just by selective breeding,
but you know what's funny? Wait, why am I hearing myself?
Yeah, what do you do?
I didn't do anything.
Now I can hear me.
One, two, three. I didn't touch anything. One, two, three. It's so weird. One, two, three. Yeah, we're echoing off of El Trucker.
Oh, you're not anymore. Oh, wait, now you are.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's gone when I mute him. It's gone.
Okay.
When I unmute him, I hear myself. So I don't know what's going on, and we don't hear him. He's gone. Let me try. I'm gonna remove you and add you back to stage. Okay, now it's fine. Okay, so
no, I can still hear everything
no.
echoed.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Mr. Trucker. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, he's gonna maybe. Okay. So the funny thing is that, let me get you. The funny thing is that cats have never been naturally selected. Cats are artificially selected. We didn't even notice that. Cats are maybe the first animal to have been artificially selected. Actually, Darwin's natural selection is based on artificial selection of cats, because everybody knew that they can artificially select. They knew that they did the selection all the time. They knew how to breed dogs. So they knew about artificial selection. They just didn't know how you can get natural selection. Darwin came and he explained natural selection, that it is possible, just like we artificially select wheat and bananas and whatever. So does nature select naturally. The question is, how can you have, it wouldn't be natural selection, it would be artificial, but let's say there is natural selection of bad science, but how? Give me an example. Give me an example of natural selection of bad science. I just don't see it.
I'll come up with an example, because what I was trying to describe, and And I don't know if you muted me because I was too long-winded, or if it was because my
No.
No,
headset
it's
did
because of the
something weird.
echoing.
It
No,
just dropped it.
suddenly it glitched and you started echoing.
Oh, okay.
We
Sorry about
echoed
that.
off of you and we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I couldn't hear you guys either. So what I was thinking, like if we select, what my example was, if we select that we want cats with black tails and white, and a black cat with white spots on it but a black tail, and we breed them until there's quite a few of them, and then we just let them
No,
out in the
no,
wild. So hold on,
no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
done.
no,
I got two
no,
things
no,
I got to say here.
no. Listen, no, I don't have a problem that you'll talk. I'm just saying, when we want a bad cat, you have to legit come up with a bad cat, like a
Okay,
cat that.
I'm coming up with a bad cat, and this is why it's a bad cat, okay?
Okay.
So we genetically engineer this by making sure we crossbreed all black and white cats together until we get ones that preferentially have this. We then somehow one or two cities comes up with this city ordinance that everything has to be painted black and white in alternating stripes, kind of like zebras. And these cats are out there. Now these cats are become super predators because they blend in with the background that they're in, even though the city isn't their natural habitat. They now blend in with the city because the city's environment has changed to make them the top predator,
Wait.
and they take over, and they
No, no,
become
no.
the best fit for that city.
Wait.
So they have this advantage, and they take over everything, and all the other cats die off, and that makes them a bad cat because all the other
No,
cats you love are gone.
no. Wait.
But
No, a
but
bad cat. Hold on. A bad cat would be a retarded cat, right? No one wants a
that's a
retard.
that's an
Whoa.
unkind
Whoa. Whoa.
phrase. That's an
Wait,
unkind phrase. I
what?
I don't like the use of that word. It's a
What?
That's
slur.
not true either. People take care of cats with like Down syndrome or disabled cats, and those are some of the best
You know
cats.
what?
So you're actually just
Having
wrong
these,
fundamentally.
and I dislike the idea that just because something is different than the norm, or isn't like in the center of the bell curve, or within 30% of the center of the bell curve, that does not make something good. It makes it average,
You tell
Okay,
him.
a
right?
cat with a blind cat. Let's assume a bad
What's
cat
wrong
is a
with a
blind
blind
cat.
cat? The blind cat
Many
still
people
has
have
blind
blind
senses.
cats. Like, oh my god, this is gonna get you canceled of all the things
This
you
is
ever said.
Stop
Let's say
being
it's
so
blind
ableist.
and deaf.
Stop being
No
so
This is your
legs.
version of like we're bigger than Jesus. We're bigger than Jesus. We're
Okay,
bigger than Jesus.
but I can explain to you I can explain to you what makes natural selection of bad science happen, if there is such a thing. And I want to make clear, I'm not sure that this exists, at least not as a wholesale thing across the entirety of science. That's why I was texting in the chat that I felt like this would be a huge undertaking because of the number of subcategories of science. But if you were to put in, say, multiple monetary advantages, not just in one place, because if you do it in one place, then only the scientists working in like one institution will have this incentive. But if there's like a worldwide incentive to come up with some sort of scientific result, let's say that we want to come up with a cure for black-tailed cats or white-spotted cats or whatever you want to have. We come up with something that we want to change because we think it's bad. We assign subjectively that bad and good to it. Just like you were subjectively deciding that cats that had different amounts
Okay,
of senses were bad.
wait.
So yes,
Okay, let's. Okay, so let's define bad science. What is bad science?
the bad to me, bad science is science that um
Like I would tell you,
it's either
bad
it falls
science.
into two categories.
I'll tell you bad.
It's either
Here,
pseudoscience, which isn't
I
science
have
at all.
no. I have a great example of bad science. Bad
Okay.
science is how ether fell out of favor.
Because it
That's
was
bad
disproven.
science to me.
That's not. It's only bad science to you because you stopped after looking at like one or two examples of how it was disproven, and it doesn't fit in with your narrative, and so you refuse to look at the multiple results that not only disprove the aether but back up general and special relativity over and over again afterwards, because aether and its theory led us to where we are at with physics today. But
Okay, okay, hold on. Slow down.
Pseudoscience is bad
Wait,
science
slow
because it
down.
sounds like science but isn't. And
Wait,
bad
slow
science
down.
would be science done with bad techniques,
Wait,
bad
wait,
information, or bad
wait,
apparatus. Yeah.
wait. So, but right at the end of the day, somebody is gonna have to be the judge, right? If you, right, whoever is gonna decide what is bad science, it's gonna be bad according to that person. So either you define bad science, or Amber defines bad science, or I define bad science. One of us has to define bad
No,
science.
it's something we should come up with collectively, and it has been
Why?
described collectively, just not using those terms.
Why? Why do we? I
Because what
mean,
we what
so
we've described is
it
what
doesn't.
is
It
good,
doesn't matter.
thorough
It doesn't.
scientific
It
investigation.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I think it's bad science, or me and Amber, or me and you, or you and Amber, or all three of us. It doesn't matter. I mean, at
It
the
could
end of the
be it
day,
could be it could be all only one person could know what good science is, and it could be true.
no, it's in the
Unfortunately,
eyes.
just having straight consensus doesn't prove something. However,
Right. So I'm not.
if you have the consensus of many well-trained scientists who have done their own independent research and have investigated thoroughly a science, and then look at the science being done by other people of a similar caliber trying to do the same kind of work, and you have them all self-regulate, and the impetus to that is the good science and the good products that come out of it, that is what promotes good science. Bad science would be promoted by putting in a monetary incentive to push through bad ideas because they result in good financial gain for a couple of people. That is not good science. That is
Wait.
fundamentally
Hold on.
what bad science
Okay.
is.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Look. At the end of the day, either you define what bad science is, or I define. Somebody has to define bad science. It's going to be up to one of us in this discussion to define bad science. So I'm going to give an example of what is bad science to me.
Okay.
So bad science to me is the fact that the ether fell out of favor from the physics community. That's bad science to me.
But that's
Because the,
because you want to reuse the word ether for something else.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It
At the
doesn't.
end of the day, one of us is going to have to make a call, a judgment call, a personal preference.
It's not a
The-
personal preference though. It's preferring that the ether be true does not
No,
make
no,
it
no.
true.
The definition of bad science, one of us is going to have to define bad science and give an example. So
Okay.
I'm going to give my example. I don't know what else to do.
Okay,
So,
when Mr. Slave writes papers not based on thorough research, investigation, and experimentation,
but that's
that's
according to
bad
you.
science. That's
But
bad science. That's a good
that's
example of
fine.
bad science.
That's fine. That's according to you. As I
Yeah.
said, fine. It's in the eyes of the beholder.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But what I write, that's not that's not what we call science, because I don't publish in Nature. I
No,
publish.
if you set your postulates out into the physics community and they didn't laugh you out of the world,
That's not the
then
point.
you could
That's not the point.
and if you had
That's not the point.
good information,
That's
you
not
could
the
get
point.
it backed up
But that's not the
if it was
point.
true. It is.
That's
It's a
not.
good point though, because we like here,
No.
but
No. It's
we have an
opposite.
existing system, and
No.
Sabine is saying
You're
it's no good.
no. You're in the opposite direction, because
Am
we're
I?
looking for an example of bad science.
Okay, well I'll tell you.
You're saying, wait. You're saying that my science to you is bad, but the definition of science, according to you, you would agree that what I'm doing is not the science, the colloquial science, because I don't publish in Nature. I don't
It's not
publish
because
anywhere.
it's not the journals that you don't publish in that are most important. It's the fact that what you come up with isn't publishable.
Okay, that's not the topic of discussion. So
Okay.
I'm going to define bad science and give an example. Bad science is how the ether fell out of favor. That to me is the quintessential bad science.
Okay, what was the impetus for that?
Right. That's the question. So why did it happen? That's really weird.
Did big
It's like,
relativity come in and push big ether out because it wasn't big enough?
so I mean, Einstein never came out against ether. I mean, Einstein in 1905 he said that the ether is superfluous. He said, I don't need the ether for my
He did not
relativity.
then, and none of us need it now.
And then in 1915, he came with GR, and he came with the curved spacetime, which in 1920 he said that's the ether. In a lecture in Leiden, he said the fabric of spacetime is the ether, which
Okay.
is the luminiferous ether. He said without the ether you cannot have light, electromagnetic radiation. You cannot have light.
Sure.
So everyone seems to ignore Einstein when he talks about the ether, and they seem to think that he disproved ether when he just said, I don't need the
No,
ether for.
he said something along the lines of, I have no need for that hypothesis. And now he did not need to disprove ether because it had been disproven by the Michelson-Morley experiment and many others.
The Michelson-Morley never disproved it. I
It came
did the
up with a null. It came up with a null result for it, and it came with a null result for it
Wait,
because
I'm in the
no
middle of
matter
a
how you
sentence.
orient the apparatus.
Wait, I'm
Yes.
in the middle of a sentence.
Go ahead.
So Michelson and Morley, I did the calculations. I published a paper, and I show the calculations that if you assume my ether model, then their null result is exactly as expected. So the ether might still be there, as I predict.
I don't see how.
Anyway, so the question is, how did what happened to the ether? Why did the community? I mean, the ether is when you study physics. Basically, the ether has morphed. It changed its name, and I mean, the scientists basically agree that the ether is there, but they just don't admit it. They basically say it's there, but they don't admit it. They claim it's not there, but it is there. So how did that happen? I don't know how that happened.
I don't know.
I don't
That would
know.
depend. That would depend tremendously upon how you're. I don't even know how you are defining your terms here, but it doesn't really make sense what you're saying at all.
Anyway, I don't know. Let's continue listening to Zabin. It's very deep. I would have to think about it, and it's really interesting. The question is if there is natural selection for bad science, then we should expect science to get worse and worse. But that's impossible because of Darwinism. Darwinism itself does not allow for any creature of natural selection to go bad. Natural selection always selects for survival. In any competition settings, natural selection will always select for survival. So I don't see, but I'll have to think about it. Okay, let's continue listening to her.
Bad science. Topics that produce papers have an advantage, so they attract research interest. It's the same thing that happened with string theory and inflation. These ideas lend themselves to writing papers, and so they produce results, and that generates funding, which pays for people to write more papers and so on. Some of the solutions for
She's saying it way too fast. I don't understand.
Well, you
Let's hear it.
set it up.
Yeah, I'll slow down. Let's slow down.
Should not be classical approximation should be good for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more on of academics. We don't have a theory of quantum head about it. This is where the problems of academia come in. If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you can't publish papers about it. So what happened is that physicists found reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem. I'm not saying that they did this.
What supposed problem? She makes no sense.
Reasons for why the semi-classical about it. This is where the problems of academia come in. If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you can't publish papers about it.
If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you cannot publish papers about it.
Sure.
If there's nothing to be said about black holes?
Theory of quantum gravity to deal with the calculation, there wasn't anything to be said about it. This is where the problems of
So without quantum gravity, you really cannot talk about what happens to a black hole due to radiation. So the story goes like this. So Hawking discovered that black holes radiate, and then he put it into the math, but the math he couldn't use without quantum gravity, and he doesn't have quantum gravity. So he said, all right, no quantum gravity, I have quasi-quantum gravity. He took GR plus quantum mechanics, and he came up with quasi-quantum gravity. And he used quasi-quantum gravity to predict that black holes will evaporate. But now the black hole evaporation depends on a quasi-theory, not a real theory. It's nonsense. So the whole black hole evaporation is completely nonsensical. Okay, at least now I understand why the black hole evaporation is nonsense, even according to... Now she explained, because I already knew that black holes cannot evaporate because of my ether. Because black holes, when you analyze them with the ether, you see that they can't evaporate. So now it fits. Now what she's saying fits my theory, so that's good. So now where's the problem?
academia come in. If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you can't publish papers about it.
So, but this is Hawking. She's talking about Hawking himself, that he used quasi-quantum gravity to do the calculations. I thought she's his friend.
So what happened is that physicists found reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should
Oh, the
not
other
be
guy left.
necessary.
Hmm?
The other guy left.
Who's the other guy?
Oh, I thought you left.
No, I'm here. I'm listening to Sabine.
It doesn't show like the little square.
Let me see.
Mm,
You're not a
that's
square like I
because
am.
Mr. Slave changed the presentation mode, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to waste space. The space is
Okay.
valuable. You want to see? You
could
want
do
to see
the
like that?
You could do the embedded one
Well,
where
I told you that StreamYard gets really confusing.
Oh, okay.
there's a view where you can embed the photos so and you can put them on the right side so they cover up your watch list, and then you'd have the best of both worlds.
But there's no way. This is supposed to be. Oh. Oh, this is the best. So we're covering up. That's not good because then they can't see. I think this is the best. Okay.
And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem. I'm not
What?
should be good, found reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem. I'm not
Solutions to this supposed problem. Solutions to this supposed problem. So what's the problem? I mean, again, Hawking discovered radiation. And then he said, let's plug it into the math. The math needed quantum gravity. He didn't have quantum gravity, so he created quasi-quantum gravity. GR plus QM equals quasi-quantum gravity. Okay. So quasi-quantum gravity predicted that black holes evaporated, which creates the problem of the information loss. Okay. So the problem is information loss. You're not allowed to lose information. Okay.
not saying that they did the reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem.
Okay. And then they created a problem. She's talking about Hawking. So Hawking created the problem. The disappearance of the black hole creates information loss. Wow, this is brilliant stuff. So and now started the black hole wars between Lenny Susskind and Stephen Hawking. How can you have information loss? And many papers were written about the information loss paradox. So now I understand why. Okay, so yeah, but this was a real problem. But it's based on a quasi quantum gravity. So you could say, okay, then the quasi quantum gravity is incorrect, and black holes cannot evaporate. Roll the credits. What's the question?
Like you're talking about Hawking
No.
Hawking radiation isn't evaporation. It just means that some radiation can come out of it.
I agree, but the way she explained it, Hawking discovered the radiation, and then he wanted to know how bad is the radiation. So he plugged it into the math. But the math didn't work without quantum gravity. So he created quasi-quantum gravity. He just took Einstein GR plus quantum mechanics, and out came quasi-quantum gravity. It's not a real quantum gravity. And he used that to make the prediction that black holes completely evaporate, which
Cut it out, bro.
creates a paradox. That's the beginning of the information paradox, the information loss paradox. So once you get the information loss paradox, you should immediately know, oh, something we did is wrong. We violated one of our assumptions along the way. And she basically discovered that that's the mistake, that Hawking didn't have quantum gravity and he used quasi-quantum gravity.
Okay.
But now she's saying, okay, so there was an issue of information, the information lost in black holes. So that's a paradox, information paradox. So she said people created solutions for this paradox, but they introduced the paradox by introducing quasi-quantum gravity.
Okay.
So they came up with solutions to a problem that they created. And she says there's a natural selection for science. Science created, the natural selection of bad science created this phenomenon.
should be good for why
No, Maldy,
academia
no.
come in. If there's nothing to be said about a problem, you can't publish papers about it. So
No.
But there was no problem to begin with. Hawking created the problem out of thin air because he assumed quasi-quantum gravity. That created the information loss. Why didn't Lenny Susskind realize this? Lenny Susskind lost his mind basically trying to disprove Hawking in the information loss paradox wars.
Okay.
what happened is that physicists found reasons for why the semi-classical approximation should be good, for why quantum gravity should not be necessary. And then they wrote more and more papers about solutions to this supposed problem. I'm not saying that they did this deliberately. It's just what's aptly been dubbed the natural selection of bad science.
She's talking about Lenny Susskind
Mm,
and Stephen Hawking.
mm.
She's going after the very biggest names without saying their names.
That's pimp, dude.
What?
I said that's pimp, dude. That's pimp as shit.
That's what?
I don't know what
That's
that means.
pimp as shit. She's giving it to him.
It's what? Tempit?
Never mind. Never mind, you
She's
guys.
saying
Never mind.
pimp, but I'm not familiar with the term. But obviously, it's like a. This is
No,
the
your audio
parlance
is
of-
messed up. Are you in the living room?
No, I'm in my room.
Hmm. Maybe you can type it in the text.
No, I don't know where my phone is.
I heard pimp, P-I-M-P.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that term as that kind of a word.
I
That's
just
fine.
think that they're doing a good job.
Who's doing a
Okay.
good job?
She is.
Sabine?
Yeah.
Or Lenny?
Sabine.
Because Lenny's not that bad of a physicist, really.
They're all very good people, but
I don't know anything about physics. I'm just going off of like vibes and energies.
Look, it's difficult to tell what's going on. I disagree with all of them. Like I see through all of them.
Do
They
you,
all
though?
what?
Do you, though?
Pretty much.
Okay. And yet you don't seem to be able to really hold a conversation with like when Dr. Vandergraaf was speaking to you, you understood a few things that were going on. You're not unintelligent, but you're not well enough informed on the entire body of science to argue against it. And taking what Sabine says, she's got a bee in her bonnet, which is fine about lots of things. There can be problems in academia, specifically around the sciences, and some of what is known about science can be absolutely well founded in its evidence and true, or as true as we can get at the moment. Those two things can be true at the same time. You could have an industry with problems, and it may have good knowledge and good information, and it may even have some good practices and procedures in it. Those two things can be true at the same time. I don't know. I don't understand why Sabine is trying to subvert everything the way she seems to be, but at the same time, I understand her frustration from other videos I've watched of hers, and her frustrations are probably well founded.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't understand why we're now presuming that everything we've got here is wrong.
I don't know, but if what she's saying is correct, I mean, look, if you assume quantum mechanics assumes mechanics. It assumes the universe is mechanical. A mechanical
Okay.
universe means you should be able to play it backwards.
Yeah, I've done thought experiments about playing it backwards.
Okay, so if you can
they're
play it
interesting.
backwards, then you cannot have information loss.
Well, also, but if you play the universe backwards, that means that when you go to the bathroom, you pull excrement into your rectum and and you upchuck unchewed food into its full normal place, the way it
Yeah.
was when it was made, right?
The point is that
And you remove its cooked nature by putting it in the oven and having its temperature go down and down and down.
look, the point is that you can watch two billiard balls hit each other
Yes.
and bounce away from each other. But if you play it backwards, it looks the same, just in
No,
reverse.
it goes in reverse. It goes in
Yes,
reverse, and
but you
so what
cannot
you're
tell.
suggesting is that the particles in the universe
But you cannot.
would just look the same going backwards, but they would not do
But
such
you
a
cannot.
thing.
If I show you a snippet of two billiard balls hitting each other, you cannot know if I'm playing it forward or in reverse. You
Not for
cannot tell.
something that simple, no.
Right.
But the interaction of matter, in our universe is far more complex than that in many instances. Even though in that instance, that is a simple instance, and there are many simple instances, but there's also many super complex ones. And the ones that happen
Wait 1
at the
second.
quantum side, yeah, go ahead.
There's no difference between two billiard balls hitting each other and two quantum particles interacting. So
That's
since
not
1 second.
necessarily true, though.
Right. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. So since any interaction between any two quantum particles looks identical whether you play it forward or in reverse, therefore you should be able to play the universe in reverse.
What are the entailments of that? Looking at one small snippet of the universe does not give you a view of the entire universe. That's a ridiculous statement. Ridiculous way to
Okay,
think.
I'll repeat what I'm saying, and you tell me where to stop where I'm making a mistake.
Okay.
So if you take two quantum particles and you bounce them against each other and you just look at that interaction, you cannot tell if you're watching the interaction forward or in reverse.
Okay.
Therefore, you should be able to play the universe in reverse.
But you're taking two small particles,
Mm-hmm.
subatomic or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you're watching their interaction, which is
Mm-hmm.
very difficult to do because of the way photons
It's a mind.
interact with matter, right?
It's
But-
it's a thought experiment.
But as a thought experiment, because we can measure and detect these particles.
It's
and
just
so
a thought
it's not impossible.
experiment. It's
Yeah, I
just
get
a
it.
thought experiment.
I get that. I'm not trying to fight you on this. I'm trying to be realistic here. So it's possible that you could play that and we wouldn't know which was which, but it's also possible that we would if we knew which particles they were, how they were suspended previously and how they are afterwards. That's also possible to know.
If you take two electrons, two
Mhm.
electrons can fly towards each other, and as they get closer, they repel each other and until they bounce away from each other.
Okay.
If I play this forward or in reverse, you would not be able to tell the difference.
That's true, but
looks-
if we had one single electron and it was flying towards the nucleus of another atom and it got caught in a covalent bond, we would know which direction it was going in. Because we know that electrons fly towards, they're attracted to that, and so we know that they're flying towards it.
And they stay there forever?
Not necessarily. Some bonds are stronger than others.
Okay, I don't know what a covalent bond. At the end of the day, electrons and the other elementary particles, they interact with each other.
They do, and I guess like what I'm talking
1
about.
second, let me just finish. Let me just finish this. They interact with each other, and you can always zoom into any interaction so that you end up with two and only two particles interacting like two billiard balls. And if you play that interaction or the reverse, you cannot tell the difference.
Okay, but could you tell the difference between between
it
chewing your food up
doesn't.
and having it go in your
No,
stomach and having
no,
it
no.
digested.
Look,
Could you
it
run
doesn't
the
matter.
universe
Look, it
backwards?
doesn't matter.
Those,
Look,
but
no,
all of
The
that
point
food you ate is
is,
made up of atoms
wait,
and molecules that are made up of those particles,
it doesn't matter. Look, at
and
the
they
end
would
of the
bounce
day,
off of each other backwards
wait,
in all of that interaction as they're
wait,
digested and
Hey,
broken
guys.
apart. That would have to go in reverse, and that's
wait,
just you. That's just one. You're one of 8 billion people on the earth.
wait. So it doesn't matter. This is the information paradox. I'm just describing to you the information paradox. Everybody agrees that Stephen Hawking radiation creates the information paradox.
Okay.
So I'm just explaining to you the information paradox. That's the information paradox.
Okay.
So a paradox needs a solution because we cannot live with a paradox. A paradox means, in general, that we violated our own assumptions.
Okay.
We're not supposed to have a paradox in this universe, right? You look around you, there's no paradoxes. So if your physics ends up with a paradox, that means there's something wrong with your physics, because in reality there are no paradoxes. So if you
That's
have
not. I don't know that that's true. That doesn't really make sense to me.
wait, do you see any paradoxes in reality?
Yes, there are many paradoxes.
Give me an example.
Oh fuck! I gotta look one up. There's a lot of things that we get to that seem paradoxical. So I guess the question is, do you mean that there's a real paradox, or do you mean there's something we don't know enough about?
No, do you know of, right? There are no paradoxes in real life. What do you mean?
No, like no, you're saying they don't. You're saying they just don't exist, right? But there's many things, especially when we study science. There are things that are paradoxical, or they appear to be paradoxical, right?
Give me an example.
All right.
I'm
Let me
saying there
look one
are
up
no.
so I don't misrepresent what a paradox is, because what I'm thinking of is a paradox, and what you're thinking of could be different things. So let me just check this
A
out.
paradox would be, let's say, a violation of the laws of nature. Are there violations of the laws of nature?
Okay. Here we go. Okay. A paradox is a statement that appears at first to be contradictory, but upon reflection, then makes sense. So that's in literature, right? So we're talking about more as science, right? So paradox. Here we go. Okay. The 1920s, scientists discovered quantum mechanics and said that some particles are so tiny you can't even measure them without changing them. But the theory only worked if before you measure them, the particle is in a superposition of every possible state all at the same time. Does that seem like a paradox to you?
No, that's
So that's something that's
literally
now understood, right?
begging the question. That's exact. No, it's not even begging the
How's it
question.
begging the question?
No,
We
no, no.
know that superposition exists,
Yeah, I don't believe in superposition. So for me, that would
but
be
superposition's been proven.
no. They haven't. Obviously not. If I deny them, that means I deny the evidence. I don't only believe in the ether. I believe in many things. I believe there's many other mistakes that physicists and scientists have made along the way. I disagree with economists on the economy, with financial gurus on finance, and so on, with biologists about biology, with virologist about virology. I have many opinions that are anti-mainstream. So
Okay.
Ether is just uh, uh, just an item in a very long list.
So, I mean, you and I had a conversation a while ago with the aether being a physical matter that is accelerating down towards the Earth, or did you say it was traveling at a finite fixed speed of
No,
like
it's
11 kilometers per second or something like that?
yeah. It impacts the surface of the Earth at about 11 kilometers a
After
second.
accelerating from an infinite distance away.
It's accelerating because it's a fluid and there is a pressure gradient. It's not accelerating because of gravity.
The gravity doesn't exist in your world. Aether is the gravity, right?
Ether flow causes gravity. Ether flow Ether flows through the apple and drags the apple towards the ground. So we see the apple accelerating towards the ground, and we call that gravity.
And the way you described it previously was that this fluid matter bonds with the matter that's in the apple, but that it is the only actual matter. The apple's actually made of energy, from what I
The
recall.
apple itself, the
Is it made of
ether
matter or energy?
the ether is a fluid, and the apple is waving in this fluid. The apple's electron is a wave of the ether in the ether.
Okay.
Everything is the ether. The ether is the fabric of reality.
So what you're saying is that you're taking relativistic physics and just saying, no, that's not right.
No, I never said that. I told you I don't disagree with any physics.
Except for all the physics that everyone else agrees on. Because you don't believe in quantum superposition.
Correct.
Even though like we know that it is true. We've tested it multiple times.
Correct. I
Okay.
disagree.
You disagree. So and you've done your own experiments to prove that this doesn't happen, that quantum entanglement isn't a thing,
I
and
don't
that
need to.
quantum superposition isn't, right?
No.
Okay. So what leg are you standing on when you make this proclamation?
What's your evidence that I'm wrong?
Uh, I don't have the time right now because my kids are going to be home soon, but
Hmm.
I'll look it up and I'll send you some stuff later on Discord.
No,
Because
no.
I'm already familiar with a few experiments where they've done this, but I'd like to look them up and cite them to you so that you can then. So my evidence that you're wrong about quantum superposition, and my evidence that you're wrong about quantum entanglement and the way things work, is that we've tested it. We also know, like for instance, like your assertion that gravity isn't a thing, but the aether is disproven by, I don't know, at this point at least 130 years of pretty good science with better and better things. Why does the aether only move towards the center of the Earth?
It doesn't only move towards the center of the Earth. The
What
ether.
causes it? What causes it to move towards the center of the Earth equally all around the globe? And you've clarified that you're not a flurf, right? We talked about that before. That you think
I
they're wrong.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't waste my time talking to flat
But you
earthers.
don't believe in gravity. You do believe in aether. What is it that causes aether to flow towards the center of the Earth? And does it also flow towards the center of the sun?
Wait. The one. You're dish galloping.
Am I?
So,
I'm trying to think about what the implications are of this aether that you talk of.
but you have to. You cannot say so many things and then let me respond.
Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
gonna.
Go ahead and respond to them, and I'll remember the things I've said.
So I don't disagree with any physics. I agree with all of physics in general, with minor exceptions. So I don't claim there is no gravity. The question is what causes gravity? You need to come up with a theory of gravity, a theory of quantum gravity. I've come up with a theory of quantum gravity. My ether is a theory of quantum gravity. It's a theory, it's a quantum theory to explain gravity. It's a quantum theory to explain why the apple accelerates towards the ground. It's a quantum theory to explain why the electron inside the apple seems to be attracted to the electron in the earth. So, whatever you say about me, and you can criticize me as much as you want, but that's my quantum gravity theory. If you
But
don't like,
a
one
theory
second,
in science is one that's been
one
proven by
second,
experiment.
one second. If you don't like my quantum gravity theory, that's nice, but you have to come up with an alternative theory.
No, that's
Until
not
you
true. That's not
until you
true.
come up until
No,
you come
no, no.
yeah, yeah.
I do
Yeah.
not. I do not need to have a fully
Yeah, you
put
do.
together theory to disprove
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
your
Yeah, you do.
hypothesis. You have a
Yeah.
hypothesis, not a
No,
theory. No,
yeah, you do.
no, no.
I'll tell
That's
you why.
nonsense.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
Why?
why.
Why do I have to have?
Okay,
Why
okay,
do I have to
I'll
have a
tell you.
fully
I'll tell
formed
you. I'll tell
competing
you.
theory in order for yours to be wrong?
I'll
That doesn't
tell you.
make sense.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Because if you only have one explanation to a phenomenon, then as outlandish as it may seem, it is defined as scientifically true until you have an alternative theory that you like better. I'll
No,
repeat. Let me repeat.
no, because
Yes.
then
Hold
for
on.
all the things at the leading edge of science, the things that we don't yet know or we don't have enough information to say are part of a theory or add to an existing body of knowledge that we call part of a theory, the hypotheses that we have, adding those all up together, the ones that are untested or as yet untestable, those ones may or may not be true. We don't say that they are true. We might say that they fit the model. We might say that they have a lot of good potential, but we don't say that they are settled science or that they've been in any way tested. We admit that they're theoretical only. You putting together another theoretical proposition, another hypothesis, just because other scientists are willing to admit that we don't have a definitive answer for some parts of science and that we're still working on them and that we've postulated a few things and we have yet to test them due to multiple different barriers. That does not then give you the ability to then say, well, I came up with one that works in my own mind and I claim that it works even though I've not tested it and that it is now the science that we have to accept. That is nonsense. It makes zero sense whatsoever, and this is the problem, that this is the reason why I have a problem with the way you come about things, and the reason why I think Dr. Vandergraaf is frustrated with you is because you say that you are interested in finding out the truth of things, and yet when you're presented with an idea that challenges where you've come up with what your idea is, you say no, I am right because I said I'm right, and that seems to be more of a psychological issue than anything else.
Anyway, I'll repeat.
Go ahead.
I heard everything you said. I understand. I'll repeat. Um so if you only have, right, so let's talk about Occam's razor. So Occam's razor says that, right, if you have multiple alternative explanations or theories for a phenomenon, then which do you pick? So Occam's razor says you pick the simplest, basically. You pick
The one with the fewest assumptions. Not
whatever.
necessarily the simplest. The one
It
with the
doesn't.
fewest assumptions.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
it does matter because
Not
you
really.
could have
It does.
something
It's
complex
not
that has less
important.
assumptions
It's
because there are things
yeah,
we
yeah.
know about,
It's
right?
not fine. Fine. It's not. We can have a separate discussion. It's not critical right now to figure out exactly what Occam's razor's principle. It's just a principle. There's no science to it. It's basically Jesus. It's a belief. It's a myth. So it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. There's no logic behind Occam's razor. It's a principle that he pulled out of thin air. So it's whatever you want it to be. But anyway,
I disagree with that, but Occam's razor doesn't mean a thing is true. it helps you eliminate some things that are not
Occam's
likely true.
razor. Occam's razor is a principle out of thin air. It has no foundations. It is itself a foundation of the scientific method.
It's Occam's razor should be used only to look at if there's like 7 or 8 different absolutely ludicrous things being put forward.
Okay.
It could allow you to quickly get rid of some of the most ridiculous ones by getting rid of ones that have a
Maybe.
whole bunch of unfounded assumptions at their basis. But
Okay.
Occam's razor doesn't tell you that something is true. It helps you filter out things when you have no base knowledge in a topic. It could help you figure that out, for instance.
Okay. Well, the point is, Occam's razor says basically, if you have alternative explanations to a phenomenon, then the simplest is defined as the scientifically correct one. It's a definition. Let's say it in
Well,
that.
I can look up a definition for
It's
Occam's razor
not
because it's easy to
important.
remember.
It's
It,
not. It's
well, it
not the
is because
point.
you're
It's
saying
not the
it's
point.
not a
It's
thing.
not. It's not the point. You don't waste our time right now. That's not the point. Because right now we don't have an alternative explanation to my explanation. So I have the ether explanation to gravity, and you have no explanation to gravity. That's why my explanation is the only explanation, which makes it the simplest explanation, which makes it the scientifically correct explanation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I just looked it up. So yeah, it is. They're not using the thing about the most assumptions. They're using the thing about the smallest number of
It
elements, which I
it
think are
doesn't matter.
assumptions.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look, the
Yeah.
point is that um my ether does not contradict any known physics, yet it has tremendous explanatory power and tremendous predictive powers and tremendous analytical powers.
Well,
And it doesn't,
I
and it
don't.
doesn't,
You're
and it,
saying all this, but it's causing me to bring in Occam's razor and say, like, how does the aether know to how much of the aether that flows from a nearly infinite distance away from our planet Earth? How does it know to flow towards the center of our Earth as it comes? Is it coming from an infinite number of locations towards us?
yes,
Okay. And it's also coming from an infinite number of locations towards the center of every massive body in the universe, or is Earth
Mhm.
special in this regard?
No, towards every massive object, or towards any massive particle, not
Okay.
just massive, towards any energy or momentum, towards exactly like GR says. My ether is completely GR compliant. My
So
ether actually
instead of the math,
obeys. My ether obeys the equations of GR. So in GR you have a stress tensor. So I have a stress tensor, and in GR you have the strain tensor that reshapes the curvature of space-time. And you can take my ether, the ether flow, you can view the strain tensor as a fluid strain tensor. So my ether, as far as I know, I need to talk to a mathematician that understands it enough, but as far as I know, we can reinterpret. ChatGPT says that we should be able to reinterpret GR's equations as ether. I don't know if it's true, but it might be true. But my intuition is that it's true. Everything that GR says, my ether is compliant. My ether is compliant with GR. My ether gives you SR. The list is very long. At the end of the day, my ether does not contradict any known physics.
okay. I'm having trouble parsing that out because it just doesn't I'm having trouble seeing how that's the case. It seems infinitely more complicated because now instead of the very low pressure system that we see, that like, because the particles that we witnessed in our own atmosphere, as we go higher and higher and higher, they become less and less dense, right?
That's the air.
That's the air.
That's not
And
the ether.
as we exit what we
But
colloquially refer to as our atmosphere,
that's not
we
the
see
ether.
fewer and fewer and fewer particles.
But that's not the ether.
And we get to the point where we see, like, so that there's like less than one particle per cubic meter, say.
But that's not the ether.
Okay, at what point do we reach the ether?
What?
Because, well, the ether's interacting with all those things, right?
No. Everything is a wave in the ether. Every electron is a wave in the ether.
Why is the ether so much less dense? Why does the ether look so much like a vacuum when you get away from a massive body? What changes about ether in that area?
It doesn't. The ether is a very thick fluid.
And yet there's no evidence that that thick fluid exists when we send bodies that we build here on Earth. When we find matter that we are able to send to space and make it travel through, that thick fluid does not appear to be there.
Of course it does.
It does
Every
not.
electron is a wave in this fluid.
Well, I don't know, Mr. Slave. I think what you're saying doesn't make any sense at all. It seems far more complicated than massive bodies attracting other massive bodies.
That's spooky action at a distance. That's not
Spooky action,
quantum.
no, spooky action at a distance is quantum entanglement.
It doesn't matter. You need quantum gravity. You need to explain how two electrons are attracted gravitationally.
Because they have mass, even though it's a very small amount of mass.
But you need a quantum mechanical interaction. You cannot have spooky action in the distance. The two electrons have to do some boson exchange. They have to have a particle. Something mechanical on a quantum scale has to cause one electron to move towards the other electron. Okay, you have two electrons in an empty universe.
Okay.
What causes them to be attracted to each other gravitationally?
Their mass. If they were literally the only two
No,
masses in the universe,
no.
yes, they
No,
have
no.
very,
Listen.
very small masses.
No.
Yes.
Listen.
Electrons have such a small mass that compared to the rest of an
Listen.
atom, they have almost zero mass.
Listen. What you're describing is the Newtonian field equation. That's a field equation. That's not a quantum mechanical theory.
How many
You
universes have you been to that only have these two electrons in them? Because I haven't been to one. Electrons tend to
No.
travel. They tend to travel with much more massive groups of things.
Let's assume we
Or
have two
subatomic particles.
electrons. We have two electrons in an empty space, out in the vacuum of space. There's two electrons.
Okay.
Right? You agree that they repel each other electromagnetically, but they attract each other gravitationally, right?
Yes.
Now, you agree that the electromagnetic repulsion is done through a boson exchange. Namely, they exchange a photon, and that's how they're repelling each other. That's QED. That's quantum electrodynamics. That's the quantum mechanical explanation for the repulsion of two electrons. Are you familiar with that?
Not as familiar as I'd like to be, and I'm happy to read up on it though and have more.
Okay, so
conversations.
but that's it. I mean, there's not. I just told you QED. That is QED. Two
Fair enough.
electrons.
I'm gonna take that at face value because there's no reason for me not to right now.
Yeah. That's. I take it at face value. I'm just repeating what they told me. It makes
well, obviously because you mentioned gravity in this thing and you don't believe gravity exists. So, all right. Okay, I gotta get going because I'm gonna have my kids home very shortly, and they're gonna They're gonna need me to help them deal with stuff, and I've got to continue getting my project done. So, thanks for the chat,
Yeah, man. Thank you.
and thank you to Amber if they're still there.
Yeah, she's not. I'll
Okay.
tell her. Thank you, man. I'll see you
Okay.
later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye. All right. Good conversation. He's a very nice guy, but very misinformed and underinformed. But an interesting conversation, nevertheless. Anyway, I think I'm going to take a break, and maybe I'm going to go to sleep. My brain is shutting down. I'm really tired. I'm behind on my sleep schedule. My sleep is completely messed up. All right, everyone. Thank you very, very much. You are very good people. I must admit. I go now. Bye bye.